Hello, everyone. I wanted to take a few minutes today and talk about the Trump shooting. Okay, so first of all, I'm really happy that he was not seriously injured. I mean, he was nicked in the ear, but what that shooting basically comes down to is socialists doing socialist things. Okay, this is the thing that socialists do, and all you gotta do is look at France right now, where there's like riots going on. They're burning stuff. They're attacking. The socialists are attacking politicians on the other side. So the way socialists are is, when they're losing elections, they riot. When they're winning elections, they riot. Okay, so leftist socialists are just destructive by nature. It doesn't matter if they're winning or losing. They're just going to be destructive. Okay, so that's what this shooting comes down to. Socialists doing socialist things. Okay, so that aside, I'm glad Trump was just nicked a little bit on the ear. Now there's people out there saying that he set this up. He wanted to be shot in the ear, okay, by a rifle from 150 yards. Okay, so obviously that's silly. Anybody that knows anything about shooting knows that at 150 yards, under like the best group I ever got at 150 yards, I think was maybe an inch and a half. Okay, so inch and a half, it's really easy to go from here to here, right? So people that don't know anything about guns think that you can actually put holes inside of holes at 150 yards with a rifle. Okay, and there's obviously other factors like wind, right, that can push the bullet around, and also this guy had to climb up a building, get himself into position. He was nervous, so he probably didn't have the gun bagged front and back like when I shoot, let's say 150 yards ish to get that inch and a half group. So his groupings were more like probably 6 inches to 2 feet. Okay, which is the reason why he also shot some innocent bystanders in the crowd. Okay, because he was shooting really wide groups because. I mean, the shot in the ear was probably just, that was a freak shot. That shot was intended to be, most likely to be center mass hit on Trump. Okay, so people saying that he set that up, absolute nonsense. They don't know anything about guns. The like I said, socialists doing socialist things, but this also resembles. There's a lot of similarities here. With the January 6th insurrection, okay, where the security at the Capitol building was intentionally reduced, or they refused to build it up to the requested levels because they wanted to see a riot happen. Okay, so they could blame Trump for it. Okay, so this exact same scenario here, security being reduced like to the bare minimal, so that something like this could happen. Okay, so from what I understand, this venue that they were at where Trump was speaking was in a fairly rural area. There was only so many buildings, right? Like 4 or 5, maybe 10 rooftops. There's no reason why an agent could not have been on every single rooftop. Okay, that would be what you would expect. Certainly, like even if it was like in the middle of Manhattan, right? You would expect agents to be on the tallest rooftops, looking down, so that they had every rooftop covered. Okay, so this was. I mean, I have a hard time believing that the Secret Service is that incompetent. Okay, they've been around long enough. They've got protocols in place. Okay, they knew that they should have had an agent on every single rooftop. Not necessarily a sharpshooter on every single rooftop, but at least a body, right? A body should have been on every single rooftop. And there's also multiple people saying that they saw this person, the shooter, getting into position. They were telling police, and it was total shit show, basically. So now I am not saying that I'm not saying that the Secret Service planned this or there was any collusion to with the actual shooter, but what I do believe is just like January 6th that they intentionally kept security at the minimal level. Same thing here. Security was kept at the minimal level, and it wasn't like just this event. This is probably something that they have been doing for some time now. Hoping, right? Somebody was hoping that this would actually happen. Okay, and it did happen. Luckily, Trump was not killed. Okay, now obviously, the next time he speaks, there's going to be a lot of security. There's going to be a body. Secret Service person on every single rooftop. Okay, they're basically going to follow their standard protocol. Okay, they're going to do their job now that because if it happens again, they're gonna have an extremely hard time explaining it. Okay, so that aside, let's look at this now from the Trump perspective. Okay, because I've said this before, Trump today is not the same Trump that we had back in 2016. Okay, he's been through a lot. He has seen a lot. I believe that Trump went into the White House in 2016, believing that that the government is mostly good people with a few bad apples. Okay, at this point, I think that he is thoroughly convinced that the government and all the bureaucracies, okay, is mostly all bad apples with maybe a few good ones mixed in there. Okay, so the way I see it, because remember, like I said, Trump today is not. First of all, he's not even the same Trump that he was a few days ago, right? After having this attempt on his life, because first of all, they've been running him through the court system. Okay, and he has seen firsthand what malicious prosecution means. Okay, where the justice system has been weaponized against him. He has seen this firsthand. This is not something that he had ever experienced, until recently, right? Because this is not something he had ever experienced in his life. So the malicious prosecution is the first thing that, well, not the first thing, but is one of the things recently that has really changed him. Like this has even changed him in 2024 from where he was in 2022, right? Just 2 years ago, right? So these are things that change people. Okay, so the shooting that he just experienced, again, this is something that today he's a different person than what he was, just last week before this shooting. Okay, so I'm hoping that the message that he's getting out of this is not that guns are bad. Okay, I'm hoping that the message that he's getting out of this is that the system was manipulated so that this would happen to him. Okay, the security was intentionally downgraded so that this would happen to him. So the system is being used against him. So it's not the gun that tried to kill him. It's the system that tried to kill him. Okay, so to that extent, I think Trump has been abused by this corrupt system more than anybody, more than me, more than you, most likely, more than anybody at this point. Okay, so I'm hoping, all right, that he does get elected, that he goes into office, aware of what, like now fully aware that this is a corrupt system that essentially needs to be dismantled and rebuilt. Okay, there's no fixing this system because the system isn't broken. This system is working as intended. Okay, the system needs to be dismantled and built back up. All these government bureaucracies, they need to be destroyed. Okay, there's no fixing them because they are fully corrupt from the inside out. You're not going to fix this corrupt system by trying to isolate the few good apples out of the thousands and thousands of bad apples. Okay, the system is just too corrupt. So I'm hoping that this is the realization that Trump is getting. out of all this that's happening to him. Okay, so I think it's a lot easier, I think, for us to convince Trump that he needs to like dismantle and rebuild the system, right, or at least start that process, than it is to take somebody else who hasn't experienced this abuse and try to convince them. Because let's say you take any one of the other like conservative, and I'm talking about real conservative Republicans, right, the true one, but none of those people have experienced what Trump has experienced. Okay, so it is a lot easier to get Trump to try and dismantle the system than it would be to get anybody else, even a super conservative constitutionalist Republican, okay, or a libertarian, right? They're not gonna have that same mentality because they haven't been maliciously prosecuted and they haven't been shot at the way Trump has been. Okay, so a couple of things for you guys to think about. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll talk to you all soon.